If you could bike across the bridge, would you do it?
I probably would.
Yes, absolutely.
And how often?
Every time I go to work, or even on the weekends, but at least 5 times a week.
3-4 times a week.
Every day that I commute, 3 to 4 days a week.
Once or twice a week.
More often, probably at least 3 days a week.
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
An average of 1,400 cyclists bike across the Golden Gate Bridge a day on weekdays, and 4,700 on weekends. About 20 times more bicycle commuters live in the East Bay near the Bay Bridge compared to Marin near the Golden Gate. Given these figures, the number of cyclists crossing the Bay Bridge would be roughly 46,000 per day, or 17 million per year.
And currently, what are your options during peak times? How can you or can't you use transportation to get across?
I was disappointed to see that the BART is not an option during commute hours, and it's a little hard to coordinate hauling my bike on normal buses, so this is sort of my only option, is to get on the shuttle. And this morning was nerve-wracking because there was barely enough space for all of us en route over here. It would be ideal to stay on the bike. I mean, that's a huge problem, is that it's a lot of back and forth hauling your bike different places. So if you could stay on your bike and get across the bridge, that would be amazing.
It's sort of a pain currently because really the only way to do it during commute hours is to take the bike shuttle, which is at MacArthur BART. That's not necessarily convenient for me. And I could always take an AC Transit bus, but there are only 2 slots on the front of the buses for bikes, and I've been turned away from AC Transit a few times, so I don't really rely on that. Right now there's just no 100% reliable way to get across the bridge if you have a bike during commute hours.
It's not too uncommon to encounter a full shuttle, which usually has me opting for Plan B of Transbay bus. But it's definitely happened before when my Plan B, the Transbay bus, was full as well. So, I mean, I've been at like Plan C, scurrying around trying to get on BART, or, you know, even though I know I'm not allowed, just being like, look, I feel like I've been a good citizen, like trying, like playing by the rules, and like, now I just gotta get to work. And the system as it currently allows, you know, has failed me, because we've got this extraordinary, you know, tool to get across the bay that's only accessible to people who drive, and that's, there's just like an equity issue there.
The shuttles run every 45 minutes, so sometimes they get packed and you're left without much of an option. I usually try to get here 15-20 minutes before the scheduled van. It's the advantage of the bus is that you can put your bike on there at any time, but I think it's $4 each way, so it's pretty pricey. So given that option, I'd probably just drive if I, you know, instead of bike.
Specifically during those late night times when public transportation is increasingly a challenge, because you know, the buses are coming like once an hour, you know, if you're talking about after BART stops running.
Why did you start biking? What are the benefits?
It takes me just as long to drive because of the traffic. I save money on toll. I much rather be outside on my bike than sitting in a car and frustrated. It's great exercise in the work week and gets you outside.
The flexibility, and I bike in order to not get stuck in traffic.
I really enjoy it. That's probably the biggest reason. I just enjoy the process of being on the bike. I like the fact that bicycles are an accessible means of transportation. They're basically simple, they're non-polluting.
Because it's a way to get miles in and get exercise in. Being able to ride across the bridge would enable me to get where I need to go on my time instead of having to rely on a dwindling transit system.
I would bike across the bridge because it would be scenic. You could get a better view. I don't think it would take that much longer to get here biking than to deal with traffic.
The West Bend will be the last of the toll bridges to lack a shoulder. And without a shoulder, if you're subject to a breakdown, you have no refuge, as well as there's no way for an emergency vehicle to reach you. It's referred to as a maintenance path because no longer would work on the upper deck have to close a lane and risk worker safety to conduct normal maintenance.
San Francisco is one of the largest tourist destinations in the country. Many of these tourists who come from all over the world rent bicycles, which they ride across the Golden Gate Bridge. we should be getting some of these tourists in the East Bay.
The distance between the marina and Sausalito, which are the two nearest inhabited areas to the Golden Gate Bridge, is approximately 7 miles, the same as from West Oakland to the financial district. Also, Treasure Island is famed to become the most sustainable community in the country, with an addition of 10,350 new residents and as many new jobs. 32% of the units will be affordable housing, yet these new residents will not have a non-polluting, inexpensive way to commute across the bay.
The Bay Bridge has long been a prize. It's the biggest regional commute corridor. So many people who would love to be able to cross to San Francisco for all purposes, recreation, fun and outings, and of course the everyday commute. I mean, as it stands right now, a driver often spends more than 20 minutes sitting at the toll plaza, and you could bike across that bridge in 20 minutes or less. Double the capacity of the bridge, increase seismic safety, open the floodgates to bicycling across the bay. Thousands of people will commute over that bridge every day. It improves the bridge in all of these different ways, and for a small fraction of the toll collection, you can build it.